Hello and welcome to a video where I am going to show you everything I knitted in 2021. There's something extremely satisfying in gathering all of your handmade project and looking at it and just reflecting and seeing on what you made in a year. Because if you're like me, you often probably have lots of different projects going on. Sometimes it feels like you never really finish anything. You just start projects. Or is that just me? And 2021 has been no different. I have started lots of projects that I didn't finish, but then I've also started lots of projects that I did finish, and those I want to share with you. Maybe also share some of the things that are still in progress. But this year has really been a big knitting year for me. And one of the reasons is that gets too warm. One of the reasons is that I, in the summer, kind of went through a little bit of a shift and transformation and went back to my roots in a way, and started to just share much more knitting related content. And the big thing that happened that I haven't shared so much yet, that when I started to make that pivot and I kind of announced that, okay, I'm gonna take a break from doing photography videos and focus more on knitting videos and knitting content and patterns, because that's where I really feel like that is calling to me now. And something super exciting happened, which really made me feel like this is the right thing to do, because I got approached by a publisher that asked if I want to make a knitting book, a book with my knit designs and with some patterns. And I just felt like, wow, this is such a clear sign that this is what I should be doing. And that is what I have been doing the last few months, knitting like crazy, doing the patterns for it and having people test knit the knits. So some of these knits that I'm going to be showing will be in that book that is going to be released next year. So that is autumn 2022. And I haven't been talking about it that much yet because I don't want to talk about it for a too long time before the book is actually published and released. So people aren't like, oh my God, like, oh, she just keeps talking about this. But I thought I would share this with you. So if you'd like to then knit some of these projects yourself, the patterns are going to be released, but that will be next year in 2022 in the autumn when my knit book is going to be released. All right, but without further ado, let's get into it. And some of these sweaters that I'm going to show you, I have made patterns for them, but all of them are my own designs. I am a person who I like to just design my own knitwear because I've been a knitter for so long, so I really know what I like, and I like to experiment and see how it turns out. I think there is magic in having a vision and then seeing if you can translate into a reality, and you know, choosing the yarns and just planning it out and seeing it come together. I mean, often it doesn't work out how you imagine, but I feel like the more you do something and the more I've knitted, I've definitely learned to get my vision closer to reality, or no, reality closer to my vision. And I kind of know what I like. So I'm gonna be sharing some tips as well with you in this video. And if you like it, then I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, to support my knitting work here on YouTube, and also come and say hi on Instagram. I'm over at Kika there. All right, really happy that you're here, and let's get right into it. On spot number one, we have this Pom Pom sweater. I think this is the first one that I finished in 2021. I think like in February when it was like super cold and dark. And this is a sweater that I've shared with you before, and I really like. I wanted to make something simple, but that had these bubbles or popcorns, or they have like different names in different knitting communities. And even though I adore the color, it's knitted in sunness, silk mohair with double strand, or I think maybe even with triple strand in the color chit. And okay, so something I've shared before with you is that I'm kind of bummed out that the placement of the bubbles is a little wonky. I would have liked it to be more symmetrical, or I had this idea of like this kind of V shape, but it didn't really turn out as I had hoped. So this one is a sweater that I have worn a lot, but if I would do it again, I would tweak the placement of the pom-poms. One tip I want to give you is that for this sweater, I made all the ribbing with twisted knitted stitches. So when you do your ribbing, sometimes I feel like it looks a little loose and it doesn't look so finished or polished. So one really good trick is that when you do your rib hem, so if it's a double or a single rib hem, and if you really want to have that really finished look, twist all your knitted stitches. So that means that you will just knit them through the back loop. And if you're knitting back and forth, then you would purl all the purl stitches through the back loop to get this really nice and defined rib stitch hem. The second project that I really love the color and the joyfulness of is this striped sweater that I knitted with scrap yarns, because I felt kind of guilty for having so much yarn that I don't have enough to make one color sweater, or didn't maybe have enough to really make a hat, or didn't feel like making hats or mittens. So then I just combined it to this big striped sweater, which I really love. I used this a lot in the summer evenings when it was getting cold. I think I should have done the decreases on the yoke a little bit smoother. It kind of goes from very big to very small pretty quickly. So that is the risks you take when you don't plan that much, or you kind of go with the flow. And this is also, well, I knitted this from down to up, and now I actually prefer to knit from top to down, and that is kind of the trend and the vibe that I'm seeing a lot. And it makes sense, because when you knit from top to down, you can of course adjust the length, and you'll see how it evolves or how it progresses as you knit easier, so it's easier to control those things. So this is still, I think, a fun project, and I would like to do more striped kind of colorful projects, so maybe I'll make another version of this at some point. Okay, I think the one that came next is actually the Sunday brunch sweater. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, if this is the right order, but I think the Sunday brunch sweater was the next one that I made, and this one I've got a free pattern for. You can download that in a link below. It's knitted with really chunky needles, with 8mm needles, so it's a really fast one to knit, and I've gotten so many lovely messages from you saying that somebody had already knitted like three sweaters with this pattern, so I'm really glad to see that so many of you are enjoying it. And this one is just so soft. It's knitted with drop swish, and yeah, I just absolutely love it. It's knitted back and forth, and I've got a video showing you how to do this, so even if you've never knitted a sweater before, this is a really good beginner's project, I think, because it is pretty easy when you're just knitting every piece separately, so you kind of understand the construction of a garment and you can get the hang of it, and then you just sew the pieces together. So, and it's also, I think, nice. I also think it's nice to sometimes do these projects where you just make one piece at a time, because then if you're knitting like on a train or on the bus, or you want to take it with you, you don't have to take like a whole project with you, but you only have one piece with you. The next project, I think, was this one. So that's Cinnamon Twist Cardigan, which I've made in white with these diamond buttons, and then I also made it when I made the pattern for this. I wanted to knit a new version, because it had been so long since I made the first one, just to make sure that I get everything right. So then I knitted it in this, what would you call this? Like peachy, salmony, no, it's more like dark, burnt orange color, and this has been a real favorite of mine. I've used this so much. I just love the boxy cropped fit of this, and then these pom-pom details in the back. So this has been an absolute favorite, and for this I do have the pattern. If you want to go and check that out and download it, I will link to my Ravelry shop in the description below, so you can go and make one of these for yourself. And I also have a video showing you how to make these cables, if that is something that is new to you, so you can also check that one out. Before we continue the video, I wanted to say a quick thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this portion of the video. And Skillshare, you might have heard me talk about them before. They're an online learning platform with thousands of creative classes. And I just wanted to share one class that I really enjoyed recently. And you might actually know this person because I've been taking Amanda Rach's Lee class, which is called Art Journaling for Self-Care. And at the moment, I am working on this knitting book, as I told you in the beginning of the video. And then I wanted to gather some inspiration for the knitwear collection, and I've done some mood boards and just some visual inspiration. And I often get a little bit of this almost like anxiety when I'm gonna sit down and make something in my journal or notebook, because I feel like, oh, it has to be really pretty, and then I feel like, oh, I'm just gonna ruin it if I start to just journal kind of mindlessly. But I really like the way Amanda talks about it and her whole philosophy around bullet journaling or journaling in general. So I just wanted to recommend this class if this is something that you think you might enjoy. And if you want to check it out, you can click the link in the description below. So then the first 1,000 people that click that link will get a free trial of Skillshare. So you can check out Amanda's class, and also go and subscribe to her channel here on YouTube. She is just she seems like a lovely person. I have never met her, but I have been a follower of her for a long time. So yeah, click the link in the description below and, educate yourself while you're knitting and have some fun with it. And all right, let's go back to the video. Okay, the next one is a little bit of a random project. This was something that I just started to make when I just wanted to knit something, but I didn't have like a really clear plan. So I feel like this one isn't that great, to be honest. And it's kind of a little bit of a failed project, but I'm gonna show it to you anyways. I kind of like the idea of it. So I made this kind of lacy details on it, but the fit is not great. The sleeves are very, very tiny or very narrow. And I wish I would have made it much bigger. So I would have taken more, just bigger for the body. And this got very floppy. Like, there's so many things that just didn't go to plan on this one. I still like the idea of it, but I would have wished also that I would have used another yarn. This is the brushed alpaca from Sunness, and in theory I really like it, but I don't know, for this one doesn't go into my favorite knits, unfortunately, even though the idea was sort of nice. After years of being a do-it-yourself or a knitter and a person who just likes to craft things by hand, I've started to accept that when something doesn't go to plan or a project doesn't turn out as I had hoped, to instead of becoming really bummed out or getting really upset about it, trying to see it as part of the process and that I learned something new from it. So I am not somebody who is like obsessive about if I do make some mistake and there's like tiny details that aren't perfect, because I think that's kind of part of the charm when you make something yourself. But if it's something that I know that is going to bother me and I put a lot of time and effort into it, I will frog it. So I will unravel it and do it again. But to some extent, I'm not like super pedantic when it comes to knitting and stuff, but I want to make sure that it is something that when I spend a lot of time and effort on it, and also money, because some yarns are quite expensive, I try to always kind of like get over that bummed out feeling if something didn't work out as I had hoped in the beginning, and then just do it again. Okay, next one. Now we're entering the knits that are going to be featured in the book. So there are going to be patterns for this, but you have to wait for a while. So this one is one of my pride and joys. I love this sweater. I love the color combination. I love the yoke. And this is actually, speaking of frogging, so for this one, the first idea I had, or the first version I made, was after this lace pattern on the yoke, I made it in brioche knit, and then I had some cables coming down here. It took so long to knit, like brioche knit stitch takes so long to knit. And it looked really nice, but then the problem was that the cables, that I had running through, like sort of in between the brioche stitches, they looked really bulky, or they didn't have the same kind of drape as the brioche knit, so it kind of looked really bumpy and not so flattering. So with a heavy heart, then I unraveled it all and just made it in stockinette stitch instead, and with these balloon sleeves, and I think it turned out really nice. And yeah, so if you would like to knit this one, then you have to wait for a while, but this is one of my favorites, and I love how the yoke turned out. That took a lot of planning and a lot of trial and error to get it exactly as I wanted to. Oh, the next sweater is actually the one that I am wearing. This is also for my book. It's a super simple one, knitted in the flat. I wanted to make like a really airy sweater that is just oversized and has that almost like a floaty feeling, and something that is just super simple that you can wear with anything, like with these dungarees. Just put it on, and it's, yeah, one of the things, I think, like the kind of simple is more? No. Like simple and classy, or like stylish in its simplicity. What am I rambling on about? Well, I think you understand what I mean. Like it's very simple and elegant without any extra frills. Okay, let's get on to the next one. This became catastrophe. Next one. Let's hope I have something smarter to say about this one. The next one is a super chunky cropped sweater that I made. I think after having knitted this one on 4mm needles, I just wanted to make something that was quick to knit. So then I knitted this one. It's like a really simple raglan top-down sweater. Enjoyed knitting this so much, and the fit is absolutely in my taste. I've worn this so much because it's so simple to pair with dresses or high-waisted jeans, and now when it's so cold, today is like -14 degrees Celsius, so this has been already, you can see, in pretty heavy use, and it's also knitted with drops, wish, in just color natural or just like the off-white color. Super easy to knit, and yeah, this is also going to be in the book, so stay tuned for that one. Okay, next, speaking of brioche knit, I was determined to make a brioche knit pattern for the book, and actually I already started. I made this one, let's see, in this lovely color, but I didn't really count my gauge correctly, so this is absolutely huge. Like the body, don't know if you can see, the body is ginormous, and for some reason when I was knitting it, I felt like, oh, this takes like forever. And it took forever because I have so many stitches that I don't need. So I'm not really sure what to do with this, if I should just continue and try to save it and then just accept that it's going to be like a super oversized thing, or if I should just unravel it and start from the beginning. I would probably now start instead to do like a raglan shape from top down. Here I was thinking to make it so it's going to be like a boxy fit, like with this, the construction, but not sure what to do with that. So after I got kind of defeated when I realized that it's way too big, I instead made it this one, and this is knitted top down. It has a raglan sleeve. Love this one. It's also from Drops in their yarn Air, which I've spoken about before. I love that yarn and really like how this turned out. Brioche knit takes quite a long time to knit, but it creates such a chunky and fuzzy and just really luxurious texture, I think, and the fabric just drapes so beautifully. So I'm obsessed. I could just knit everything in brioche knit, I feel. Or I don't know if it's called fisherman's knit. I'm so confused with this, like fisherman knit, there's brioche knit, and then in Finnish it's called something else like patenttineule, and I'm not even sure what it's called in Swedish, but I think this is what you call brioche knit, and then you knit it differently when it's in the round or if it's flat, so kind of confusing, but anyways, love this one, and it's going to be also in the book. the last one that I just finished is actually a sweater that I started last winter, and it is for Yuki. So this is called the Yuki Sweater, and he really wanted a kind of classically inspired, like this kind of Icelandic knitted sweater. So this is knitted from this Icelandic wool. And then he wanted to still make it a little bit edgy and kind of like modern. So there are some skulls here. Then we made these really nice details with the red thread, which I think is such a nice touch. And I actually got really inspired to put some of these small details in my own knitwear as well. I think for a first project, I've never knitted anything for a man, like a sweater before. I've knitted like mittens and socks for my dad and stuff, but never a full project. So I'm just so happy that it turned out so nice, and he really loves it. He's worn it a lot already. And yeah, it's just really nice to be able to knit something for the people you love. And then you see how happy they get when they can wear it and they actually like it, because I think sometimes when you knit something, I've knitted like things for my mom as Christmas present, and she's like, oh, that's so nice. And then it's like, she never wears them. I've never seen her wear some of the mittens that I've made her. And, you know, I think she still appreciates it, but, you know, maybe it wasn't the color she wanted. And then it's kind of like, made all that effort, although I did take them for myself then and wore them instead. But now instead, I always ask people, like, if you would like me to knit something, what kind of things would you like, or what is the style of the pattern, just to make sure that there aren't kind of like effort put into something that they maybe won't then like. All right, and that is all of the sweaters that I've knitted this year, and then I've still got made these chunky beanies. I made a full tutorial on these, and there's a free pattern that you can use. Really love these chunky beanies. And I mean, to be fair, like this kind of beanie I saw in a shop just the other day, and it was priced at like 75 euros or something along those lines. And the yarn for this cost about 20 euros. So you can save a lot by just knitting this yourself, and you get like a really luxurious thing. I also knitted another beanie. Oh yeah, at the start of the year, I knitted this beanie. It's super, super fuzzy. I wish it would have been a little bit bigger, so then I just knitted this one here a couple of weeks ago, and this is also something that is going to be in the book, so you're going to be seeing more of this and a pattern for it. But I just love like how fuzzy it is, and it's like knitted, oh, it's knitted double, so the construction of it looks like this to get that really chunky feeling. And sloppy, 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 sloppy. Haven't finished that one yet. All right, and then, yes, the last thing, these socks I also knitted that I'm actually currently wearing. These socks I knitted really at the start of the year. It took me forever to actually just weave in the ends. Like sometimes I feel like you spend so long on a project, and then for some reason, when it comes to weaving in the ends and just like doing those finishing touches, like you just don't do it, which is so stupid. So I actually just like a minute before filming this video, finally wove. Is that how we say it? Wove in the ends? Weaved in the ends? And these are just some simple socks. I'm not like a huge sock knitter, but I think I should, because I do actually wear socks a lot here indoors because it gets quite cold on the floor. So I think that is something that I'm going to be making more of. Right, thank you so much for watching this video. This is everything I've knitted in 2021 so far. Still got a few weeks left, so maybe I'll still finish some other projects, but I would love to know which one you like the most. Let me know in a comment below. And also, so that book that I talked about, I'm gonna try to contain myself and not talk about it too much so you don't get like really tired of hearing me talk about it before it releases. But that is what I'm working on at the moment. So if you don't see me posting so much, it is because I am working really hard on making the book really epic and just with lots of inspiration and patterns and tips and all that good stuff that I have to share about knitting because I do absolutely love it so much. And at the moment I'm in this stage where when I go to sleep, before going to sleep, I have so many ideas and so many things I would like to knit, and I just feel like, oh, why am I not an octopus? Why don't I have more hands so I could knit faster? So that is really nice. So if it looks like I'm not doing so much or I'm not so kind of active, it's because I'm working on something bigger. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have some happy knitting projects. Let me also know if there is something specific you'd like to see more on my channel, and subscribe. Also, if you would like to support these knitting videos and come and say hi over Instagram, I'm on Kika. I'm at Kika on there. All right, see you. Ciao.